Good morning, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem, editor of Michigan.com, a digital business magazine serving the Arab American communities in Michigan. We provide business and real estate news, loan and lending information, support to small businesses, and much more. Visit us at Michigan.com. It's a cool fall day in the Michigan area, and we hope that you are having a great start to your day. On behalf of US Arab Radio, we wish you the best of time, peace, and happiness. We thank you. We thank our sponsors, our listeners, and our supporters. You know, these are not easy days. The war in Gaza continues at its worst, with hundreds of innocent people getting slaughtered every day. All of the calls for ceasefires have not been answered, and we are struggling what to do. But we have a lot of people in this community who are working very hard to be on the front line here in Michigan, and then make a difference, and then help the community reach out. And it's just really terrible time. With us this morning is one of these hardworking people, Imad Hamad, Executive Director of the American Human Rights Council. Good morning, Imad, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Khalil, and thank you always to you and to your team and to your listeners as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please give us an update, what's going on in the community. And I know you've been very busy as a lot of people. And, what do we need to know?
Well, no doubt that these are very trying times, very difficult times, with a huge package of tough challenges. And also, everybody is charged with high emotions. It's only human. And I underline that. It's only human that we do something, that we act, that we don't accept, that we don't condone, that we don't sit silent, witnessing a genocide, ethnic cleansing, slaughtering of innocent civilians in Gaza, killing the unborn before the infants, before the children, before the women, before the elderly. This is not a traditional war. This is a genocide, a first-class genocide, ongoing war crimes taking course. Everything is happening by the second, by the minute, by the hour. And as we speak, innocent people get slaughtered. Israel non-stop of its carpet bombing to residential areas. Like, I understand the notion of the typical traditional war, and I understand war is as ugly as it is. It's always going to claim innocent lives. But here we talk about norms and protocols that even the United Nations, the international community, put forth to set the tone for the rules of engagement. And we understand that some people get caught in the crossfire, and then we witness losses of innocent lives. But what we see here is not even the definition of war. I think Israel, with our American signature, unfortunately, is redefining the meaning of war and redefining even our American values that under no circumstances justify and condone the killing, the mass killing of innocent people in Palestine or anywhere else. So the community here, as Americans, as an integral part of this nation, we have a duty. It's only patriotic. It's only right for us as Americans to voice our opinion, to speak the truth, not to be afraid, and not to surrender to intimidation that many try to send our way just to suppress us from expressing our views freely. So, yes, we are Americans. We voted, we elected these elected officials on the local level, state level, federal level. Even President Biden himself, the Arab American and Muslim American community vote was essential and vital. So to feel portrayed, a package portrayal like this community and its input and its role shoved aside, brushed aside, flushed aside, without caring even to express the basic of the basic expressions of sympathy. Even sympathy is becoming a taboo. Like Israel is above, not only above the international community. Well, Israel is above our own American interests as well, and this is the underlying here. This is where people wanted to do something. They cannot stand still. This is the American values. Now you're punishing us for practicing and living up to our American values. That's the big question here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you been getting calls from people being harassed or being, your organization hasn't been getting any calls?
Well, let's first put firm a message that hate is blind.
Yeah.
And acts of hate are blind. And an act of hate against any individual or group of people, regardless of faith, national origin, gender, nationality, etc., is not accepted, not justified, and we stand against it, period. Because when you talk about hate and being against hate, you cannot be selective. It's like when you talk about the human rights, you talk about universal rights, equal rights. Unfortunately, Israel, with our American signature, is human rights and civil liberties and freedoms, our core values as an American, are put on trial. They are being hostage to the Israeli interest beyond and above our own interests as Americans. Yes, we get our share. Some of it is just not organized. Some of it is like that come from loner, extreme voices, lunatics, and we witness this in America. Hate is hate. Like we seen it. Act of hate and hate crime is a true challenge in America. The active shooting, the mass shooting is a prime example. But definitely here, when you provide the public with a dangerous rhetoric, and when someone on the top, the highest authority in the country, President Biden himself, allow himself to convey fake news, fabricating news, not accurate news, conveying that Arabs, Muslims in general, under the notion of guilt by association, are not only terrorists, but are beheading children, hats, and raping women, and what have you. What are you planting in some people's mind? So definitely, they are to be held responsible. Those in position, those who are on authority, they should be responsible. They should be responsible of how they convey the message across to the public. The 6-year-old child in Chicago is a prime example. What is his crime?
Yeah.
To be stabbed to death. Luckily, his mom was saved, but it's a stunning example. And then you come to say nobody's responsible. This incident just happened from nowhere, out of no place. Come on. We cannot fool each other. So definitely, hate is something that become our common responsibility as communities and as government, and we dealt with this, Khalil. You recall the national tragedy of September 11.
Sure.
Was one of its phases. The 2006 war, Israeli war against Lebanon. All of these important occasions in history taught us that lesson, that hate cannot be accepted and cannot be tolerated. And we all stand against all shapes and forms of hate. So the same way we stand against hate against others, then we expect equally so others not to accept and condone and justify hate toward our own community simply because they practice in their precious basic constitutional rights of the freedom of speech and the freedom of assembly. Unfortunately, this war that is taking course now is putting our Bill of Rights on a trial, is putting our moral authority as Americans on a trial. Simply, we cannot be selective. We cannot be optional when we talk about equal rights to all, period.
As a community, are we ready? Is this exposing an issue in the community that the community is not ready really to do what it needs to do to protect itself, and and reach out to the media and reach out to the politicians and educate the public?
I think since the beginning of this unfortunate war, I think the community at large did a great job. I think people are people. People express themselves freely, without fear, without intimidation, despite all efforts to label our peaceful protests, expressing our anger, expressing our condemnation to the Israeli ongoing genocidal war against Palestinians. People are being Americans simply, and the protests that we witnessed, the action that was initiated and taken, was not just Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. We had even fellow Jewish Americans, the Jewish Voice for Peace. So it is a matter of pro-peace. Pro-Palestinians are pro-peace, not pro-war. And if condemnation of genocide and ethnic cleansing is a crime, then I would say maybe you're going to take half of the American society and put them under that general labeling of being a pro-Hamas or a pro any other particular group here. The issue here is not Hamas. The issue here is 75 years of oppression, aggression, occupation, suffering. We stand on the right side of history. We're a strong advocate for peace and justice. Simply, no justice, no peace. People comprehend to that. In America, we pride ourselves with the rich civil rights movement. If we go back in years, what did we fight about? Our dignity, our rights, our freedoms, our liberties, etc. I remember, fellow listeners here, when everybody stood by Black Lives Matter, which is a true challenge faced America. Same thing, Palestinian lives matter. Every life matter. The value of a human life cannot be determined by its race, its faith, or national origin. Unless, the U.S. administration does have a problem with this concept. And if they have a problem, tell us. Let us know what the accepted exchange rate here. Is it one Israeli life versus 10, 15, 20, 100, 1,000 for our common humanity to move, to react? I think what we're witnessing aches everybody's heart, every human heart. Look, yeah. I am disgusted with Senator Graham's statement today that he does not care how many Palestinians may die, and regardless how many may die, he is not going to question Israel, period. So is this America? Is this the values that we stand for as Americans, as American nation? It is
unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate. What should we do as a community? I mean, there has been some protests. There's a lot of people reaching out to different parties. What else should we do as a community?
Well, I think the community made its voice loud and clear. I think local, state, and federal officials been taking notice of the community's response, not only in Dearborn, not only in Michigan, but across the nation. If I want to judge this, I judge it by the name of the public opinion that poured the streets across the whole world. Unless we come to say that these people are not people, these all are pro-Hamas people. Millions of people went out against the Israeli genocide, critical of the U.S. unconditional and blind support to Israel. So we have a challenge here before our community that whatever we did was good. Whatever we're going to do is good, but we need to do more. We need to be more effective, more efficient. And I take it as an opportunity, as much as we need to help our fellow brothers and sisters in humanity in Gaza. We need to look deep. How do we rise to the occasion and empower our own community? Mobilization and organizing the community is key. Uniting the community is key. And I hope that the community, through its leadership, different organization, can rise to the occasion, can rise to the challenge, and do what is right. We need a strong political voice. We need all resources, civil rights organization, human rights organization, all of our ethnic media, all need to be empowered, all need to be supported. This is a very tough challenge. This is not one-sided, and this is not something that is going to end today or tomorrow.
Absolutely. Final thoughts?
Well, I'm not fond of war. Definitely no one is. And I think no human can tolerate seeing the ongoing massacres, the ongoing killing of innocent people, targeting children, targeting medical facilities, rescue aid workers, even journalists, using water, food, medicine as weapons of mass destruction is something can make us just sit silent or make us just sit aside and just watch. This is not the time to watch. This is the time for our continued action. And I'm definite that the community will keep on not accepting this genocide to slip by, not by our name at least.
Imad, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Khalil. I always appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bonham, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We're going to continue to talk about the war in Gaza. There has been several protests in our community. It's important that we explain the rights of citizens for protesting and what is allowed and what is not allowed. And with that is with us this morning is Ramis Wadood. He's an attorney with the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. I hope I said your name correctly.
Yes, it's Ramis Wadood. Yeah.
Ramis Wadood. Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Ramis, there has been quite a bit of a push in the United States against protesters. This is a very emotional topic for both sides, for everybody. We just wanted to make sure, what does the Constitution afford us as citizens?
That's a great question. I think it's especially important right now. The Constitution is very clear that everybody in the United States has a right to assemble and protest, whether they're protesting their government, whether they're protesting a business, an individual. They have the right to come together and raise their collective voice to protest current issues.
Absolutely. And how is that done? Are there like things that people need to do and identify an area? What are the procedures?
Sure. So that's the beauty of protest, is that there's no one way to protest, especially if you're protesting breaking news. You don't need to go through whatever procedure the government sets up to get a permit. If you are responding to breaking news, you do not need a permit to protest. Oftentimes nowadays, given how popular social media is, protests are organized over Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. All you need to do is pick a place and have people show up. Now, your rights might be a bit different depending on where you choose to protest. Your rights are strongest on public property, specifically on public sidewalks and parks and areas where you're really not blocking traffic, whether that's pedestrian traffic or vehicular traffic. You don't need a protest permit to show up and protest on a public sidewalk or in front of a government building. That might change if you're trying to go inside a building or if you're trying to go onto private property. If it's a private property like a parking lot or a convention center, you're going to need the permission of the property owner. But your rights are strongest, and by that I mean you have the right to protest. You don't need a permit if you're doing it on something like a public sidewalk or a public park.
Are there any limitation to what banners you can carry and what you can do during the protest?
So there are some limitations, not in terms of the type of speech, like what you're saying. That's the beauty of the First Amendment, is that if you show up and protest within the confines of the First Amendment, the government is not allowed to suppress your speech simply for what you're saying. If you're showing up, let's say, for a pro-Palestine protest and your government is supporting Israel, the American government can't suppress your speech simply because you're disagreeing with the government. Now, there are some restrictions in terms of, some cities may have ordinances that restrict the level of loudness that your speakers can go. So if you're trying to use loudspeakers, or if you think you'll have a lot of people, you may need to get a permit to exceed certain sound levels or to spill over onto the street. In that case, you should go through your government agency. A lot of government agencies have forms or websites where you can pretty easily apply for a permit. So if you think your permit is going to get loud, or your protest is going to get loud or big, then you're safer getting your protest permit. But again, if you're responding to breaking news, if something happens in the morning and you want people to show up at night, you don't need a permit as long as you're doing it on public property.
Yeah. So is it a good idea to, if you think that your protest is going to be big, to coordinate with the authorities in the city?
If you have the time and the resources to coordinate with your local government, it's always the safest option, especially if you're going to have a large protest that you think you might march through the streets. If you think you'll need to close a street, or if you think you might need, let's say, police officers or police cars to block some traffic, then it's always best to go through your government agency. And again, just like I said, the government can't suppress your speech at a protest. The government also can't deny a protest permit just because of what the protest is about. And so, I don't want people to leave this interview thinking they shouldn't apply for a permit because they're worried the government is going to reject the permit. The permit is really something to help protect the protest from police encounters and to protect other pedestrians and traffic from the pedestrian traffic of the protest. It's not something where you're going to the government and asking if it's okay for you to say this or that. The government can't suppress what you're saying.
For an emotional issue like this, I would think that it would be important that there is some police presence for protection of protesters and to make sure that things don't get out of hand.
Yeah, there's a lot of protests that I've seen, out here where I live in Detroit, where, the crowd reaches thousands or even tens of thousands, as was the case last weekend. And in a case like that, when you're marching through a downtown area where there's lots of pedestrian and vehicle traffic, it might be safer to get a protest permit. At the same time, I do want to recognize that historically, police agencies and especially federal enforcement agencies have spent a lot of resources to surveil Arab and Muslim and South Asian communities. And a lot of that is through the police. And so, just as police officers and police cars can make protests safer, there's also a possibility that increased police presence may lead to increased surveillance. And so if you are worried about surveillance, if you're worried about police officers being there, there are precautions you can take. A lot of people nowadays are wearing face masks, like COVID masks, to protests in order to make sure that surveillance cameras don't capture their face. People are wearing kufias and scarves to obstruct part of their face. And so those are some precautions you can take if you're worried about surveillance, if you know that there will be an increased police presence. But like you said, there are oftentimes cases in which a police presence could be helpful because there might be a counter protest, there might be other people trying to disrupt your protest, and giving the government a heads up that you're doing that protest might lead to additional safety measures that protect your protest.
Yeah. Is it a good idea for me to ask the organizers, do you have a permit? Have you applied for a permit? Is this a legal protest? Not everybody knows the laws and regulations,
Right. I think if you're attending a protest, you should feel comfortable asking whatever questions you need to ask that make you feel comfortable attending that protest. I've heard questions from individuals who have to use a wheelchair, and they ask protest organizers, are we going to be, in one place, or are we going to be marching? Because if we're marching, then I may not be able to attend. So whatever makes you feel comfortable, you should feel free to ask the protest organizers, whether they have a permit, whether it's accessible for wheelchairs, who the organizers are, what organizations are supporting this. Anything you need to know to make you feel comfortable to attend the protest, you should feel free to ask.
Absolutely. Is there anything about the language, for example, anti-Semitic language, anti-minorities, anti-this, anti-that, that, is, normally, it's common sense not to do that, but are there any laws regarding these things?
So the First Amendment is pretty broad when it comes to your speech, especially during a protest. When it comes to the government cracking down on speech, you shouldn't be all too worried about the type of language you're using. Like you said, there's common sense, there's principles of common decency and mutual respect that people should try their hardest to incorporate into whatever they're saying. But when it comes to government actors, a police officer can't step in and shut your protest down simply for what you're saying. Now, if that translates to a police officer thinking you're trying to incite a crime, and again, this is a very rare situation where you have a protest speaker or a leader telling someone immediately to, go into that building and cause havoc. This is rarely, I haven't seen this happen in the last few weeks at all. And so folks shouldn't be worried about this happening. But when your speech turns into could be interpreted as incitement to cause any type of illegal activity, that's when you should be concerned that a police officer might step in and try to shut the protest down. But in terms of the language you're speaking, you should feel free to speak as strongly as you want to speak, within obviously the bounds of mutual respect and common decency.
Yeah, we don't want to encourage anybody to be anti anything. People have a right to express their opinions and their emotions and their thoughts peacefully, and without being anti-Muslim, anti-Semitic, anti-African American, anti-Black, or anti-anything.
Right.
We hope that people adhere to these rules because normally it would backfire on the original intention of the protest, to draw attention to a certain cause. Again, and that goes without saying, people have a right to protest, but they do not have the right for the destruction of public property. They will be held accountable for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it all depends on the laws of the city and the state that you're in. But typically speaking, you're going to find laws that criminalize destruction of public or private property anywhere you go. And so you should always be focused on the speech and the purpose of the protest, and you don't ever want to do anything that would take away from the strength of your message.
Absolutely. How about on schools and universities, specifically universities. These are public universities. I'm sure, students can get a permit from the school to do that, or do they need a permit?
Right. So the First Amendment applies equally to public universities in the same way it would apply on a public sidewalk. Public universities are, for purposes of the First Amendment, considered government agencies. And so your public university can't suppress your speech any more than your local city government can. Now, this gets a little bit more complicated when we're talking about private universities. The First Amendment doesn't apply to private universities, but there have been a lot of universities, kind of in the spirit of academic freedom and in the spirit of public debate, that have committed to pretty strong freedom of speech and freedom of protest protections on their campuses. Where I went to college, the president pretty explicitly said, this is a private university, but the First Amendment essentially applies here. And so if you're at a private university, you want to make sure to check the rules and policies of that private university when it comes to speech and protest. But if you're at a public university, you have the right to protest with or without a permit, in the same way that you would have a right to protest out on a public sidewalk when it comes to your local government.
Absolutely. Is there anything I haven't asked you that people need to know?
I think to keep in mind that all the rights and information that I'm sharing are for outdoor spaces, public sidewalks, public parks, town squares, even public streets. Things get a little bit more difficult if you're trying to enter a building, even a public building. Let's say it's a federal building. If you're trying to protest your local congressperson or your local senator or the president, you have to follow certain rules and regulations of that building if you're entering the building. So things like taking pictures and videos, if that building doesn't allow it, you should try to not take pictures and videos. If the police ask you to disperse, if they ask you very clearly and tell you how and when you have to disperse, you should try to follow those police officers' orders. So your rights are strongest outdoor in public spaces. Your rights are diminished a bit when you go into indoor public spaces, and your rights depend entirely on the property owner if you're talking about private property, such as parking lots or businesses.
If you're blocking the right of way, the police can arrest you.
If you're blocking a right of way and you don't have a permit for blocking a right of way, which again, it's pretty easy to get a permit that requires street closures for a protest. If you're blocking a right of way and the police ask you to move out of the way and you refuse that order, then a police officer might be able to arrest you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, again, for private property, if you block in the right of way, you could be in trouble for that.
Yeah, for private property, it all depends on the property owner. Now, I live near Dearborn, for example, and there's a lot of private property owners who have opened up their properties for pro-Palestine speech and protest. And that's all welcome because the private property owner has allowed it. Now, on the other hand, if the private property owner doesn't allow it, then they can call the police and have them escort the protesters or the speakers off of the private property.
Sounds good. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I'd like to remind our listeners, excuse me, you have a right to protest. Please be responsible. Please be aware of the local ordinances. Please refrain from being, anti-anything. It does not help your cause, being anti-Semitic, anti-Muslim, anti-Black, anti-Latino, anti-anything. We ask you to be as civil as possible, as peaceful as possible, it is your right to protest, but you need to do it the right way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. Please stay tuned.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. We're going to shift topics to healthcare. Open enrollment starts this week, and with us this morning is Director of the Michigan Department of Insurance and Health, Miss Anita Fox. Good morning, Miss Fox, and thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what is open enrollment and who's eligible? And we're going to talk a little bit more about the services.
So open enrollment, as you mentioned, kicked off on November 1st. What it is, it's a chance for all Michiganders to take a look at their health insurance needs and check out what's available on the federal marketplace, also known as kind of the ACA or Obamacare. And what that is, it's plans that you know are comprehensive. They have to cover 10 essential health benefits like emergency services and hospitalization and pregnancy and prescription drugs and mental health and preventative services. So you know you're getting a comprehensive policy. And the federal government also renewed subsidies. So it's an important time to also determine whether you might be eligible for low or no cost health insurance.
Who's eligible for this?
So it's based on income, but we know that last year, about 85% of those who applied got health insurance for $10 or less a month. And what's really great about the process, if you go to healthcare.gov, which is the website, or you can come in through our website at the Department of Insurance and Financial Services. But if you go in there, you can kind of preview it. Here's my income. Here's how many people are in my family. And they'll show you the different options. And that, which depends on family size, what you're going to get and the like. So it's just a great opportunity. And the biggest mistake anyone can make is not try. People think it's going to be complicated or expensive, but it's really intuitive to go through it. And there's free local help. There's a button on there that says, find me local help. And it'll be somebody that you can work with to see what's right for you and your family.
Is this mainly for people who do not have health insurance right now?
Well, if you have health insurance in another way, like through your employer, it may not apply to you. But anybody else who's lost their coverage or, maybe turning 21 or 26, depending on when they get off their parents' coverage. It's for people who may have already had an individual plan, but want to see what else is out there and how much it's going to cost and whether there's a subsidy. So there's no harm in looking, and there's no wrong door. If you're eligible for Medicaid or Medicare, when you start filling it out, it'll redirect you to the program that's best for you.
Medicare, that's for retired individuals, and Medicaid, that's the one offered by the state to low-income residents.
Right. So Medicare is for seniors, 65 and older, and then Medicaid, and there's special program for children too. So that's a really great point, because different people in your family might be eligible for different kinds of coverage. So just because you yourself may have it, if it doesn't cover everyone in your household, it's always good to log on and see, is there coverage for others? Is there, a program for the kids? Is there a program for an adult child living at home? Those kinds of things. Because it depends on the person, not necessarily the whole household.
Yeah. We often get calls when we bring up the subject, how much money they're making. This is a number that should come from their income tax filing. Is that correct?
Typically, yes.
Okay. So this is a number that, I think, let's say 1040, whatever it is, there's a number there that says this is your
adjusted gross income.
Taxable. Yeah, this is your taxable income. And that's the income that they need to report.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
And your household size. So that's important.
Sure. Let's say, for argument's sake, a family of 4, what is the limit here? What are we talking about?
I don't know exactly what the limit, and it may depend on other factors and the coverage you choose as well. So what I can tell you is people should log in, either go to an insurance agent that they trust, or log in and click that button for free local help and go over those specific facts for your family and take a look. And it's always tied to the poverty level, some percentage of the poverty level, but it kind of depends on your family situation.
Is it still at 125?
I'm not sure exactly
Okay.
what it is and what it will be for this period, but it's always good to check.
Okay, sounds good. And basically this is online, and could you repeat the website, please?
Sure, michigan.gov/health insurance. Or for people who aren't on the internet, there's a toll-free number, 800-318-2596. Or you can always call our department and they'll put you out the right way. We have a toll-free number where people actually answer the phone from 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday at 877-999-6442. So there's lots of ways to get help. And we really want people to get the information, because health insurance is so important, not for just when you're sick, but to make sure your family stays healthy.
Oh, and I know this is beyond your control, but wouldn't it be, good idea, everybody to get health care regardless of income or what they, whether they work or not, or whether then we don't have to go through all of that. So. Yeah,
there are a lot of proposals, but my goal here is to make sure that we connect Michiganders with health insurance, whether it's because, through Medicaid or Medicare or through the ACA or through their employer. We just want to make sure that people don't sit on the sidelines. The biggest mistake anyone can make here is to not enroll by the deadline. So if it kicked off on November 1st, you have until January 15th. But if you want your coverage to start on January 1st of 2024, you have to enroll by December 15th.
Okay.
So there's no reason to wait. You get the information. You don't have to even put in your name and things. You can just kind of put in your facts and get a sense of what it is and then go forward. And if you can't figure it out, click that local help button or call us at 877-999-6442. And we'll try and do everything we can. If you don't have the internet, we can mail you some papers. We just want to make sure that people stay healthy.
You mentioned that you go to insurance agent you trust. Why is that so important?
Well, because, especially in this age of internet, when anyone can say they're anything, having a licensed insurance agent, someone who's taken an oath and who is being regulated to make sure that they have to place your interests above their own is really important. And you can check to see whether the person who says they're an insurance agent is licensed by our department by calling that toll-free number, or by, Googling Department of Insurance and Financial Services, verify a license. It's really great to have someone who can help you on. I think a lot of people feel confused about insurance. And so having somebody who, is licensed and has, taken the training and has a duty to you is really important.
Yeah. It seems like during the COVID era and and following after that, not many people are taking health issues as seriously as they used to, or, some of our children have not gotten all their vaccines. I wonder if you have any info on that and what we can tell people to really, they need to get that,
Oh, yeah. Vaccination is an important part. You should check with your, medical providers to make sure. But on the insurance side, that's another great thing about these ACA plans. They cover your vaccinations. And so, your children, the state has, kind of a list of working with the CDC, what people need at various ages. And you can make that decision for yourself, but at least have the information and go on and protect yourself and your family. And if the pandemic taught us anything, it's how vulnerable we are just from all the, germs and viruses that surround us. And everybody should make a conscious choice about what level of protection they want for themselves and their family.
Yeah. We had a comment from a listener last time we were talking about this, and they mentioned that there's a good number of doctors who don't take the insurance from the state. Are you trying to bring more doctors in? What's the situation there?
So I think what they're talking about is Medicaid, that, most,
yes.
And so through Medicaid, that's not a program I manage, but I do know that that's a very important issue to the Department of Health and Human Services here and to the governor, and making sure that the networks of doctors are adequate and making sure that they reach people in the way that they need to be reached. So using telehealth when it makes sense, bringing clinics closer to where people are who don't have transportation, addressing some of those other barriers has really been a focus of the governor and the lieutenant governor, and especially in areas where we know that those barriers exist. So it is definitely front of mind, but that's one of the benefits of these plans is being able to be assured you're going to have a network of providers and coverage that you can afford.
Yeah. You mentioned that somebody could be paying $10, $15 a month and so forth and so on, which is really very reasonable, payment on either individual or a family. Is there a scale? Like, what's the highest a person could pay the most?
There's different levels of coverage. There's, like silver level and there's gold. So it really depends on your family size, what level of coverage you pick. So there's a wide range, and that's why it's so important to kind of log in or get with the local help and understand kind of that balance. What's the coverage? What's it cost? What's right for my family's needs and budgets, and find what's best for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Could also result out of this the fact that I may have private insurance, but it's not strong, and the state could serve as a backup.
So what this does is the nice thing about these marketplace plans is they have to provide these essential health benefits.
Okay.
So that the care you're getting the policy you get is comprehensive health care. That was one of the goals of the ACA. It's really hard for people to know, like, you get an insurance policy, what does it cover? When I'm sick, how much am I going to have to pay if I have to go to the emergency room, those kinds of things. And these, to be an ACA plan and be available for sale on the marketplace, they have to verify that they cover those essential health benefits. So that's really important. It's important to know what kind of coverage you're getting in addition to how much it costs.
Absolutely. Is there anything I haven't asked you that people need to know?
Well, some people, we have a lot of people from Michigan, from a lot of places. So you might want to know that in addition to U.S. citizens who are eligible for the marketplace, lawfully present immigrants are also eligible for both the marketplace and the subsidies if they qualify based on their income and family size. So some of those would include lawful permanent residents, green card holders. They're eligible for the subsidies and for marketplace coverage. Refugees that come in under the refugee status, people who come in under the asylum rules, people who were conditional entrance that was granted before 1980. Anybody who comes under the Convention Against Torture and other related groups. So don't just assume that it only applies to certain groups. If you are lawfully within the United States under any of those programs, you can be eligible both for the coverage and for those government subsidies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Anita Fox from the Department of Insurance and Health. And as you heard it, I'm talking to our listeners. Open enrollment is up till January 15, and you need to log in. And could you repeat the website, please?
Sure. They can go to healthcare.gov, or they can call 800-318-2596, or they can always reach us at michigan.gov/health-insurance.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain.
Welcome back. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We're going to be talking about continue to shift to a different subject and different topic. Earlier, we talked about open enrollment, and now we're going to be talking about Tuesday. Tuesday is a general election in the United States. That normally happens in November, and in some cities we have elections, and it happens that in the Dearborn Heights we have elections for several posts. With us this morning is Zouher Abdel-Hak. He's running for the Dearborn Heights City Council. Zouher, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Haj Khalil, for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what's going to happen on Tuesday?
Tuesday, there is 6 candidates running for 3 seats. And the residents have a choice to select 1, 2, or 3 candidates. If you vote for 4, then your ballot will be basically void. So people have to be careful. They can only vote for 1 or 2 or 3, not more than that.
Okay.
And we have the incumbent Mo Baidoun. He's running for his seat. And we had Dave Abdallah. He's the president of the city council. He's not running. And I'm running with Denise Malanowski. She used to be the chairman of the city council. And basically, she lost the election against Mayor Bazzi. And now she's coming back for the city council. And we have Mr. Hassan Saab and Mr. Ray Muscat, who basically was a city council member and came third in the primary, but he resigned. So people have to be very careful, and they should know that he resigned his seat, but he is on the ballot. Some people probably will vote for him, even he resigned. And we have Mr. Ahmad Al-Kabi. So people have to be very careful who they choose, because this is a very important for our city. There are lots of issues of importance to our residents, and people need to basically research each candidate and give their vote to the people who really care for the city. They have a proven history and they have experience, and they can basically do the job to improve the city in a positive way.
Why do you want to run, Zouher?
I was appointed previously to be a treasurer for a little while. Then I was appointed to city council for 1 year. And I really wanted to sit on the side after Mr. Bazzi got appointed and got elected. I was hoping that, we have good government and we have the city moving in the right direction. But the way things are going made me come back and try basically to correct the way the city is going. There are lots of issues like the water rates, like the flood, the police.
What's with the water rates?
The water rates in Dearborn Heights are the highest in Wayne County. And the previous administration used the water fund for anything and everything. And that was a way to raise money and revenue for the city without raising the millage, because the millage is at maximum in Dearborn Heights and they cannot raise it anymore. So they use the water rate to get more revenue.
How do you correct that?
We corrected previously. The city council a few years back decided to decrease the rate by 10 mils. And the mayor brought the consultant, Plant Moran, and they scared the city council that if they do not keep it as is or raise it, the city is going to be in bad financial shape. So instead, they reduced it by 10 mils. They increased it by 6.5 mils. So that put us at the highest rate in the county of Wayne. And this needs to be looked at, because really the people are complaining, and I'm getting lots of calls since I am on the council right now. I'm getting lots of calls from people. Their bill used to be 100, 150. Now it's 600 and 700, and they don't know why. So the city council responsibility is really to look at it, and it is in their hand to reduce it if the financial situation of the city allow that.
And the flood issue, what's with that one?
The flood issue has been going on for over 50 years. And normally they say we have a flood once every 100 years. It turned out it's flooding sometimes twice in 1 month in the last couple of years.
That's in the south side, right?
That's the south side of our city, and we need lots of money for it. There are studies from the Corps of Engineers estimated it at $150 million to $300 million to fix the problem. I believe there are better solutions than that, and I'm going to work with my colleagues to see if we can hire a grant writer to get money from the state or the federal, basically to relieve the residents of the south end from the flood, either by buying the houses which are flooding every time and they are close to the creek, or by creating basins very close to the creek to hold the extra water which comes during heavy rain, then release it when it is dry. So there are lots of ways, but in general you need money, and the money doesn't come just free. You have to go and fight for it, and you have to lobby for it, and that's what we don't have right now in the city of Dearborn Heights. And working with my colleagues, inshallah, if I win the election, and the mayor, to hire a grant writer and to go after every dollar possible from the federal and the state.
Sounds good. Why should people vote for you?
Experience before anything. I've been attending city council for over 20 and some years. I have very, very excellent knowledge about everything, every department in the city. I have very good relation with my colleagues on the city council, and I can work with them very peacefully and in a nice way to accomplish things. Plus, I've been living in the city 32 years, and I care for the city, and I consider it my home. And my history working for the public and defending the public can tell the people about me, and I hope I earn their vote, because of all these things.
If somebody needs to reach you, how they can reach you?
They can reach me on my cellular phone at 313-525-7888, or they can go to my email on my Facebook and Instagram, sites, and they can leave me messages. And I've been appointed 6 weeks ago again to the city council. It looks like I am the wild card in the city.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I hope, they can reach me on my, election Facebook site, and they can call me at my business, 313-582-7888.
Thank you, Zouher. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and good luck to you on Tuesday.
I really thank you, and keep the good work up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I want to thank Imad Hamad for being with us earlier, and also I want to thank Ramis Wadood for being with us. And don't forget the director of the Department of Health, Insurance and Health reminded us that right now is open enrollment for healthcare. If you need healthcare, please do so. And Ramis talked to us about our rights for demonstration. Keep in mind, you have a right to demonstrate. You have to do it correctly. And please do not be anti-anything, anti-Semitic, anti-Muslim, anti-anything. We do not need that, and nobody needs that. Please be orderly and demonstrate peacefully and know your rights. And good luck to you. Thank you so much, Zouher. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for listening.
I just want to say something. There are lots of Jewish people who are with us, and they demonstrate with us. And let's remember, we all are human beings created by one God.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend. Bye now.